What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JB Sports, back again with another one. We come off the heels of one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all times between Tyson the Gypsy King Fury and Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Now, we went into this weekend with a couple of big fights. You know, a couple of important fights. As far as the guys that were favored was looking to showcase their skills and move on to bigger and better things. But with both favorites, they found out that it was going to be a little bit rougher road that they was going to have to travel down than they originally thought going into this fight. Let's talk about Navaratte, one of my favorite fighters to watch in boxing, winning a unanimous decision against Gonzalez, who was last seen in the ring getting schooled and put in detention and expelled by Shakur Stevenson. And he wanted to right that wrong. He wanted to show a better version of himself in this fight than he did in the last fight. As Shakur Stevenson does this to a lot of opponents. He disarms you. He tames you. He make you not want to let your hands go. He get inside your offense and gets off his offense. He can be close to you and you can't touch him. I think Nassim Richardson made this kind of famous, this phrase. He said, I can get in a boat and paddle upstream without getting wet. Something like that. I might have messed the words up, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Shakur Stevenson, in my opinion, is the next Floyd Mayweather Jr., so it's no shame in losing to Shakur Stevenson. But for him to put that type of performance in that ring with all that talking he did in the lead up for that fight, a lot of people didn't let him make it. They didn't let him make him. They derided him. They talked about him. And they said, look, you did all that talking. You made it personal because he was dating your sister. You made it clear that you didn't want no brother dating your sister. And you was going to make him pay inside that ring. And there wasn't nothing further from the truth when the fight went down, because you did not let your hands go. You did not put up an effort to try to win that fight. And you basically got your hat brought to you. But in this fight here, you got to give Gonzalez a lot of credit, because I know he probably went to that dog place that he went against Shakur Stevenson as Navaratte jumped out and was controlling the fight, beating him to the punch, hitting him with uppercuts from distance, hitting him with the left hand, touching him with the right hand, doing what Navaratte does, doing stuff from an unorthodox angles. Hard to get a read on a guy like Navaratte. But give Gonzalez a lot of credit. He bit down on his mouthpiece, and he was able to finally get the rhythm of an unrhythm fighter in Navaratte. You know, most fighters are rhythm fighters, but Navaratte, he's an unrhythm fighter. You know, he's throwing uppercuts from a distance. Usually, most fighters, they throw uppercuts from close quarters. Not Navaratte. He could be at a distance and still nail you with uppercut, man. He's got long arms. He's got the type of body frame, I think, that'll carry up to multiple weight divisions. And I think he's a guy that's going to be in it, going to give any fighter problems. I heard Bob Arum said before and after that fight that they're looking to set up Navaratte versus Oscar Valdez. That's a great fight. You know, they probably going to try to throw that fight on ESPN pay-per-view, or at least ESPN Plus. At the very least, at the minimum, it'll be on ESPN Plus. That's neither here nor there. Navaratte, in the last 3 rounds, he took a lot of punishment, man. He looked weary going into his corner in those last 3 rounds, man. He was walking a lot of weariness about him, as Gonzalez seemed to get a bead on his unorthodoxness. Got a bead on him and started walking him down, started anticipating when he would try to punch, because Navaratte one of those guys that when you start punching, he'll punch with you and he'll punch when you through punching. And Gonzalez was able to get a bead on that, and he was able to keep the high guard up when he did punch, and he was able to block most of the punching, and then he was able to go push Navaratte against the ropes and work the body. He did a good job in the last 3 rounds. Good performance by Gonzalez, but Navaratte was the just winner, and he was able to pretty much take care of business, TCB, and move on to potentially a big mega fight with Oscar Valdez. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Now let's talk about Mikey Garcia out of Oxnard, California, who's been a regular on the pound-for-pound rankings. I think he's the number 8 welterweight. I don't know what is his rankings in the top 10 of the pound-for-pound list, but he's number 8 in the welterweight rankings, and he's a perennial pound-for-pound fighter. And I would assume that he's probably somewhere in the top 15, top 20 of pound-for-pound. Now, ESPN just released their pound-for-pound rankings, the top 10. He wasn't in the top 10, but I would assume that going into this fight, he was in at least the top 20 in the as far as pound for pound rankings. At worst, top 20, probably top 15, but at worst top 20. And he went into this fight, man, and Sandor Martin, got to give this guy credit. I had never seen this guy fight before. The first thing I noticed about him was he was, southpaw guy. So I said that could cause Mikey a little bit of problems as far as him trying to figure him out, and Mikey Garcia being a slow starter. So I kind of anticipated the first 4 to 5 rounds kind of being a very tactical fight and very close, and Martin could be ahead. And actually, that was not the case. I actually had Mikey winning 3 of the first 4 rounds. Now, the DAZN broadcasters, this make me think that Mikey Garcia might have been a victim of a setup. As far as them two guys are watching 2 different fights. At the end of the day, I had to fight 95. I had to fight a draw. One judge agreed with me. The other 2 judges gave it to Martin for 97-93. I have no problem with that. It was one of the fights I had a draw, but if I had to pick a winner, I would have went with Martin because he landed the more significant punches in that fight. The straight left hand, he was hitting Mikey Garcia with that constantly throughout the fight. He did a good job of hitting him with the right hand. He did a good job of switching up, going from left-handed power shots to right-handed power shots. Did a good job of hitting him with the right hand to the body too, and the left hand to the body. The guy is a very sneaky switch hitter type of fighter, and he was able to basically tame Mikey Garcia. I think the punch that pretty much turned the fight around as far as Martin goes was he hit him with a straight left hand in the 3rd round that really got Mikey Garcia's attention. And from that point on, Mikey Garcia did not come with the same fervor, did not come with the same aggressiveness. He still tried to cut the ring off, but he was very cautious. He wasn't coming with reckless abandon like he was early on in that fight once he got touched with that left hand. So give Sandor Martin credit for fighting a great fight, great game plan. But Mikey Garcia, in my opinion, did not utilize his jab. He has an underrated good jab. Did not use it. You look at the jab he used in the Robert Easter Jr. fight. Did not utilize that in the Sandor Martin fight. He was using the jab as more of a pawing jab. He like pawing and basically using it as a range finder to try to set the right hand up. But Sandor Martin did a good job of being elusive. Did a good job of blocking a lot of those shots, ducking a lot of those shots. And even when he was connecting, he did a good job of rolling a lot of those shots, taking the steam off a lot of those shots. So great performance by Sandor Martin. Mikey Garcia should have understood that you're on a fight-by-fight deal with DAZN. You have no alliances to DAZN or Matchroom Boxing. So I just looked at the commentary and the way the judges end up scoring that fight. One judge had it 97-93, so they had that fight basically 7 rounds to 3 for Sandor Martin. So any close round, they was giving to Sandor Martin. I didn't see no 7-3. I had it 5-5. I could have seen it 6-4 at best for Sandor Martin, but like I said, Sandor Martin is under Matchroom Boxing, and they're looking to build fighters, maybe to set up possible matchups with Devin Haney, who's a guy that they're looking to keep on the zone. One of the biggest names, especially when you talk about the United States fighters, one of the biggest names on the zone. So that's another possible future opponent for Sandor Martin. Now, Mikey Garcia did not have a rematch clause. Will he pursue a rematch, and will he be granted a rematch? That remains to be seen. But Sandor Martin is another guy he was fighting at 145 catchweight, but I think he is a junior welterweight, so that could be a possible matchup for Devin the Dream Haney, who in the near future will be moving up from 135 to 140. Eddie Hearn just signed Montana Love. He's another 140-pound fighter who put on a beautiful performance against Ivan Barnachik on the undercard of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley. So Eddie Hearn is trying to stack the stable, trying to get a good foothold in the junior welterweight division, to possibly set up some kind of mega fight with a Josh Taylor if he's still the champion at 140 and decides to stay at 140 for the time being. Everything I'm hearing is he's going to move up to 147 after the Jack Cottrell fight, but if it's a lucrative opportunity, maybe he might stay at 140. Maybe he stays at 140 for a Teofimo Lopez fight, but I think he's moving up to 147. So that basically opened up the division for Eddie Hearn to set up his fighters for to get title opportunities. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But Mikey Garcia, you should have known that if it was going to be a close fight, that you could be possibly lose a decision. Kind of reminds me of the Manny Pacquiao-Jeff Horn fight. As Manny Pacquiao refused to fight Terrence Crawford, and they were looking to, they knew Manny Pacquiao was not long for top-ranked boxing. They thought his retirement was very close. And they pretty much set the stage for when he fought Jeff Horn. It was a close competitive fight. And they gave that fight to Jeff Horn. And in many people's opinion, Manny Pacquiao won that fight. And that set the stage for Jeff Horn versus Terrence Crawford. This kind of reminds me of that situation playing out as they're looking for opponents for Devin the Dream Haney, as he's been on the outside looking in, chasing fights with JoJo Diaz. Ooh, yeah! And Ryan Garcia, who hurt his hand and is out until early next year. Gervonta Tank Davis, they doing their own thing over there with Showtime Boxing, and they want to keep everything in-house. They don't want to make another company great. Those are the words that were spoken by Floyd Mayweather Jr. So he's out the picture. So they need opponents for Devin the Dream Haney if they want to secure his services on the zone. And this is another future possible opponent in Sandor Martin. A lot of the commentators were saying after the fight that could it be a rematch? But the thing about it is, Mikey Garcia, who is not affiliated with the zone, didn't have a rematch clause. Unlike Dillian White, who has a rematch clause versus Otto Wallin. Unlike Anthony Joshua, who had a rematch clause with Alexander Usyk. So, with that being said, they're going to have to, him and his team is going to have to chase a rematch, and it's up to Sandor Martin to give him that rematch. I think Mikey Garcia will be a more lucrative opportunity in a rematch than fighting any other fighter under the Matchroom Boxing stable. But Eddie Hearn might be looking to basically have him get another showcase fight for Sandor Martin, and then maybe set the stage for him to fight Devin Haney. Yeah, that could be a possible opponent. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts about Sandor Martin pulling one of the biggest upsets in the sport of boxing and defeating Mikey Garcia. Let me know your thoughts about Emmanuel Navaratte defeating Navaratte-Gonzalez and setting the stage for big-time ESPN pay-per-view fight against Oscar Valdez. Now, Valdez was prominently mentioned as the opponent to fight the winner of Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring. But as we know, the Bob father, Bob Arum, he loves those Latino matchups, especially when you're involving two champions, as he promoted a lot of the fighters in the past. Oscar De La Hoya, and Felix Trinidad, he promoted that fight. Oscar De La Hoya, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., he promoted that fight. So he's promoted a lot of great Latino fights, and he knows the Latino fan base would eat that fight up between Navaratte and Valdez. It would be must-see TV. It would be a fan-friendly fight. There's no way that fight would disappoint. It'd be an all-action type of fight. And it would come down to, can Navaratte take the power shots of Oscar Valdez, as I believe Navaratte will probably outwork Valdez. He throws more punches per round. So that's what that fight will boil down to. Will be a great, great matchup. And we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But on the outside looking in will be the winner of Shakur Stevenson versus Jamel Herring. Maybe they can set the stage for the winner of that to fight Vasily Lomachenko in a big-time matchup. So we will see what happens. We'll see what transpires. We got a lot of moving pieces. We got a lot of different scenarios that can play out. Let me know your thoughts and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I holla.